Licking fucking Comcast motherfuckers. Xfinity. Eat shit and die. Go to hell. Welcome back to the stream, everyone. So, yeah. Poodle, if we could just get it to space and let it go, push it all the way up there, then that's great. By the way, you aren't streaming in 360p, right? No. 1080. The back wing doesn't have to be centered. So, yeah, we talked about that. Comcast, indeed. It's looking like the best option would just be having a single skipper. In vacuum, it's 3204. From sea level, it's there, it's altitude. So it's probably going to average us around 3,000 once we're up there. Maybe a little bit less than 3,000 once we're up there. Let's look at those variants again. If this is going to be the one, then yeah. We should have a nice sci-fi looking shroud over the top of it, which is that. It's enough in terms of TWR from the ground all the way up. Even at sea level on Kerbal, it can push us fine on its own. And then you give it some SRBs. Those SRBs save you 1,000 to 1,200 of the lift out of your about 3,000 that you've got there. You end up spending another 2,400, and you're just barely in space around Kerbal. And that's not what we want. That's not what we want. This shuttle's supposed to be able to go places and do things, you know? So with that in mind, what you'd then do, friends, is attach some dumpable, some droppable, some losable, throwawayable liquid fuel tanks. Huh? Is what you do, right? Listen to me. Listen to me when I'm talking to you. Is it those, or do you want to go up to the... I'm not convinced one way or the other. You're on both sides? Good. These would have to chuck these right past that, so... good luck with that shit. We'll figure something out, but for now, I just want to be able to test the idea of, you know, if I had a couple of you on there. Yeah? So then, 2,009 meters per second. I'm going to enable crossfeed on you. So that gives us an extra 500 meters per second, and we would be starting off at sea level at a 1.2, and we wouldn't be doing this at sea level. Again, we're still going to be pushing it up with some SRBs. So from altitude, we're talking about getting an extra 560 meters per second. Also needs to lift some amount of cargo. Yeah, that's the other thing, is, you know, probably up to 2 tons or something like that in there. Just carrying itself up. Good God. It's huge is the thing. I mean, it's supposed to be. It's a shuttle. It's just a lot of weight. And it's a lot of weight with the idea that you bring the whole thing home. But, boy-oh. Boy-oh, boy-oh. RD. Chef, even. From altitude to 1.36 TWR means that we could add, you know, more. A 1.24 TWR at altitude is about as far as I'd want to push that. In fact, it's a little bit further than I'd want to push that. With, like, maybe coming back to you guys for a 1.29 TWR. That could work out fine. So that's about how much extra liquid fuel we could bring for an extra 700 meters per second. But that's without considering the weight, the mass of the cargo on the interior of the shuttle. Okay. Well, we've got our Penguin shuttle. You know, we've got some ideas here. We've gone around the bend, done some sketching, and what I think we want to do now is don't save it, walk away from it. It'll still be in there as long as the game doesn't crash right now. It'll still be in there when we come back to it, but we're going to take a live stream break. Been here for just under an hour and a half. take a live stream break, step away from it, you know, process ideas, thoughts, think about what makes the most sense for lifting cargo, you know, this whole shuttle concept. It sounds cooler than it kind of turns out to be. You know, the reusability of the shuttle is the thing that you've got to value if you're going to go shuttle-wise. The idea of building something that can return. We recollect it, which means recollecting a large amount of the funds. You know, basically you're just losing the cost of the fuel itself, but you're recovering the bulk of the craft, if not the entire craft that you shipped up in the first place. And so it, you know, minimizes costs in the long run. But in terms of efficiency to get things to space, these are all things that I'll be thinking about during the live stream break, and I encourage you to do so as well. This will be a 7 to 9 minute. I tend to be 1 to 2 minutes late on our 7-minute live stream breaks, but 7-minute live stream break. When we come back, we'll figure out about this shuttle thing. Pawn not out. Hello, I am the Ronan Paul, and welcome back to twitch.tv/Ronan Paul. With Bags accompanying on bass and trombone. Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Yes, that's something to that one in particular from who is it? Jazzar, I believe that was. Something about that reminds me of the Beta Band. It's a very, very Beta Band type beat. So we're building a shuttle. And my first brains concept there, it was going to be Val's shuttle. And now I'm just not thinking about whose shuttle it is, and just thinking about it as a shuttle. And as a shuttle, I'm thinking that I've been thinking wrongly. That as a shuttle, if you're going to build a shuttle, you build the shuttle, and you build it big, and you build it with the idea that it doesn't lift itself to orbit. It is pushed to orbit by something else, and then once it's up there, it's focused on, you know, flying in space, as opposed to trying to get itself off of the planet. You know? And return. It's mainly about just space flight and then return. Can you land the thing like a brick? Can you fly it like a brick enough to get it down back to the space center? Ooh, that's going to be fun. But, yeah. With that in mind, let's just take another pass at this. Let's look at it kind of from that angle of, if it's going to be a shuttle, it's going to be that kind of shuttle, which is any kind of shuttle. Throw you guys away. And think of it as, you know, a space thing and then a return vessel. So with that in mind, this would be the wrong engine for it. This is the skipper. This is the skipper. And it's, you know, very powerful. It's OP is what it is for if it's just going to be space flight that we want to be able to push this thing around in. So we would go back to the poodle, sort by mass, because that's just how I do. So we go back to the poodle, which is just 1.75 tons, and in space, in vacuum, we get 3,712 meters per second out of that. TWR of just 0.67 around Kerbal. If you go out to the moon, it's 4.06. If you go out to Minmus, it's 13.47. But it's a fine engine for this size craft in orbit. And that's probably the one that I like, isn't it? We looked at the other ones. I want it with a sheath, but we don't have a white shroud. We've just got the orange-gray one for both, kind of. So, yeah. So that would be our engine. Changing the... It doesn't change the TWR of that to change that, right? No. 3712. So let's, one, get the bay sorted a little bit more. If I go to payload... No, if I go to coupling, we bought into the regular size docking ports, and let me try and get you just in there. You know, where you can do that kind of a thing. So that's an interior docking port. And then let's just put some mass there. Like, what do we expect the mass that we would ask this thing to be able to drag up be? Something like a 2.25 tons. So 2.25 tons still leaves us with 3,349. And my standard, I suppose, is about 3,000. If we can have 3,000 meters per second of delta V from orbit, then I believe that puts us in the realm of we could land this thing on the moon and come back, which is already, like, that's excessive, but it's, you gotta pick a number, and I think 3K sounds good. If I put more on, then we're up to more like 4 tons, right? We're up to 4.5 tons that we can lift and still have that 3,000 meters per second, which is nice. And since we wouldn't be landing on the moon in any given mission, we can add a lot more and still have a hugely viable amount of delta V for getting anywhere and doing anything short of landing on the moon in Kerbin's sphere of influence. So that's reasonable. Let's assume, let's build to account for the 4 TWR there. Or I mean 4.5 tons of mass that could go into this thing. So we'll leave that in there as we build the rest of it, just to see where we're ending up with a 4.5 ton payload. These wings are clipping with where they are. Clipping the port being opened like that. I suppose if we were going to go with these wings, I was going to say maybe we just reconsider what wings we're bringing. You know, we could also lower them, but it lowers the center of mass, and then that throws things off for space flight. But I think these wings are as quick and easy as they are to just slap on and be, okay, we're good now. I'm not sure about that. You can restrict how much the bay opens. Can we? Deploy limit. Oh, you can. Okay. Yeah. So if I put those back on, then deploy limit to there. And we've got more than enough clearance in all of the directions to do what we would need. That's all well and good and fine and good and well and good. And then the wings can actually be back where we would want them. Penetrating a little bit on the interior, but creating a cool texture of an interior, so I guess we can live with that. I am curious in seeing if we can't come up with a better wing structure, although we already looked at it. Just get some other wing styles in here and look at what they've got for us. Structural wing type B, and then opposite. So let me pull these off. What we're looking for is a lot of surface area to create a lot of drag when we're coming down, and then a lot of lift when we're trying to pick our, landing point, which hopefully would be a runway, but that is a big ask in Kerbal Space Program if you don't have any mods installed that are going to help you with that, with figuring out exactly where you're going to be coming down at any given point. Yeah, that's great and all. What if you put it like one of the places that I want it, though? What if... Yeah, so that's attaching to the top, and then this is on the side. Like that. Except all of the directions, except for the one that I want, of course. Something like that. Close that back up. And... it's always fun to try and figure out, like, something that looks cool, building off of these weird limitations of the various wing shapes you're working with. Boy, we're getting toward that penguin thing even more as we go. I mean, you might say that that's odd, but what you don't know is how right you are. That is odd. Extremely penguin. Yeah. Ooh. This is the fun art project side of it, and that's looking cool. But I still don't know about the surface area kind of a thing. The aerodynamic and the center of mass is reasonable. We can move things back a little bit to get it more where we'd want it. Could I have a little bit more surface area on that? What if I took out from you and went in that direction? Yeah, that looks awful. If I grabbed one of you and attached it to here. How about to here. Now that is ugly. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. And then doing anything like that, thanks, I also not a big fan. Looks good, but the back might need an overhaul as well. Yeah. Yeah. Let's drag this to where that center of lift makes more sense. We'd still need some center of lift back here. It's just, it's such a massive, beefy kind of a thing. Like a standard canard for yaw. Oh, that's not at all in the center. We don't need that much yaw. Pitch, roll, just yaw is what should be there. Put it straight up and down, then it ends up looking, you know, like that. And that being shit. What about you? You have more of a plainy vibe to you. Plainish. I just don't like where the line is when it auto snaps it like that. If I back it up. That's a little bit better. I can slide it around as I so desire. Maybe even pull it out a touch. It's so tiny. It's just tiny though, isn't it? Tail fin. Alright, tail fin getting a little bit more in scale. And it really is just visual. It's just me being like, I don't like the look of that. You, sir. Slide you back. And again, just yaw is what you'd be working on there. Maybe connect the front wings with the back wings at the tips. Bring it back and then have a gap in it? That would be something with a sweep to it. These are what yeah, that's a hard no. Swept wing is this, right? That's what I've got there. With some snapping. So yeah, it's just like too weird. Too weird. I mean, it starts looking, you know, Klingon-y. Romulan, maybe even. And I don't hate that. I don't hate the look, but there is a part of me that does because it's just too damned weird. You know, nobody would make wings like that for any reason. Too many weird aerodynamic forces that would hit it too weirdly. Where are you going to put the drop tanks, by the way? I don't know that there will be drop tanks. That's the thing, is now our idea would be pushing this thing to orbit somehow. If there are tanks that are to be dropped, you know, we'll figure it out. But it's not my first concern anymore. It's just, it's the cooler that it looks, the worse it looks is the thing. Like, those wings start to have a cool shape to them. And my complaint against my own design ends up being that it's a shuttle, though. It shouldn't look cool. The cooler it looks, the more it's who you trying to fool. I don't hate little things like this. I've done this in the past. You know, little things like that where you've got this little, like, just touch of a moment where there's a different thing there, you know, a different spacing, because then when you put on the elevons, they can fill that space and end up like pulling the whole thing together and making it look... God, it's just ugly. It's just ugly. I can't believe they got the actual space shuttle to look as good as it did, and it was pretty ugly as well. But this is just, it's just ugly, isn't it? What would you have to be in order to fit in there? Another one of you? Like that? You don't have the right angle to match any of that stuff that's going on there. And it just looks so fucking tacked on, too, you know? It's... just hard to come up with anything that isn't a visual nightmare. The old reverse, huh? The old reverse. Now there's some weird ideas. Huh. Yeah, I'm getting kind of hectic. What? Uh-huh. You know, like, the more boring it looks, I think the better it's going to end up looking. But we can have that little touch of style to it if the wings kind of end harshly in the front. How do you get there, Pawn? I don't know. I'm not... Ooh. Well, that's starting to look like a very specific, unique kind of design. Don't suppose you fit perfectly in there. You do. That's not quite it, but I don't know. There's something in this direction that isn't completely... It's not as awful as everything to date. Tried. Are we on absolute? Now we're on absolute. And then you do that and it snaps it to... creates this nasty gap. That might kind of be it. Now it looks like Star Wars. Well, yeah, this is getting towards something that I could live with because it's lame in the right way. Do have a problem with length here in the back. You cut off a little bit faster. Shit. Everything is connected to those. Alright, well, yank it off, yank it off. Like, maybe you need to do this and, well, just to see it. Just to see it the way that you want to see it first, and then, you know, you can rebuild as necessary. But if you're, like, there, and then where do you go? Which end of things are you? I think you're the ones that are just on the interior? And then these are the ones on the outside? Yeah. That could be it. Now, the issue there is that our elevons would not be at any straight angle to the craft without adding something like this for them to stand off at. Either that or trying to flatten off what we've just done there, which we would do with just making it flat in the rear. Alright, well, in lieu of doing that, well, shoot. How about actually just doing that? If I just had a solid flat piece back here that stands off from... No, I don't want you attached. God damn it. Aha. There we go. Go like back there. I think that little flare inward is important for it looking cool. That makes it look cool, but it looks too cool, as I'm saying. It's very touchy here. What you want to do, you don't want it to actually end up looking good. That would mess up the design, which is awfulness. That might look too good. It's a lot of wings, too. My God, is it a long thing. But again, still no good place to have the elevons where they're not at a bit of an angle. That said, it's okay to have the elevons at a bit of an angle. It's just not perfectly ideal. Well, they'll each be resisting each other's force, kind of a thing, as they're doing what they're doing while they're doing it when they're doing it. Just having two elevons on something like this, though, is a bit underkill. It would be nice to have some toward the front, but then we would need standoff, some kind of standoff something at the front where they could be. Put the huge elevons on. Huge elevons? What have we got? The, like, just the big fat boys? Like a pair of fat boys instead of a long guy. Or you mean the even bigger elevons that I've, like, these weird... Oh, the weird ones that got angles to them. We're getting an update. That's a buy-in. We're buying in.
Opening new position.
Yeah.
Opening new position.
Okay.
Sir, the market has breached our buy-in threshold.
That's great.
I've just placed an order on your behalf at $4,275.93. And I'm entering a temporary stop loss to hold us over until the next candle turn.
Wait, what number did you say?
I'll let you know when that turn comes. Good luck, good luck. Entering hold mode.
At like 4280, something like that. Somewhere around there. 4270 something. Okay. Just so I know. What about you guys? You're just a complete angle. And then if I flip you the other direction, oh, that's sexy. That helps with the sexy factor. No snapping and just inch it in a little bit more. You know, you want clearance for them to rotate and stuff, but you want good lines too. Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. It's even one bigger still, I think. Whoa. So we got you guys, and then helicopter blades, and then... I like that. What if you put two on and get rid of the tip things? So get rid of the tip things. Ooh. Doesn't not look awful. Doesn't not look awful? What? Are you saying it looks like shit? Maybe. I think it's a bit less sexy without the tip things, but I think we could make it sexy. I like the toothiness of that. They do. And, you know, they could be lined up the other way where they're just, like, right next to each other. I think taking up more of the space. Can I pull you away a little bit and you still look good? No, I think you want to be tight. I think you want to be tucked. And this guy's just got to be out as far as he can before weirdness. Apparently you are too close with the texture tearing. Which is actually these being too close with the texture tearing. And there's still texture tearing. Not that this is necessarily the way that this all assembles. Like, you should make this so that that comes off of there, and then this comes off of that, and comes off of that, and then it will be more structurally sound. But I don't hate that, and I think that it could be made to look even better if, like, it had some of these instead of that, you know? Like, maybe it wants one of those too. I don't know. But, like, something out here instead. And it could just be... how do the standard canards look? Because they've got a nice swept appeal to them. Yeah, they'd have to be in a little bit more. Could even be right in between those two. Like, truly between those two, and then hanging out the back even. I don't think that's quite the thing, but maybe a little bit of hanging out the back. It's about the lines, Pawn. You gotta follow the lines. See what looks good. You like that, Florida Sidler? It's alright. I don't know if I'm married to it yet. But I think that is what we want. Just potentially in a different format. That would be very, very low profile. Perhaps too low profile. Custom one is the way to go. Let's look at that, because it's appealing to me as well. These would be super low profile, but for a shuttle, squat and fat might be the look. The snapping and then... and then those lines. Yeah, pixel in. And it's hard to see past the arrows themselves when you're trying to make this kind of an alignment. Getting in the way of me being able to do the graphic design. It's close but no cigar, but it's close. I think they're a little underwhelming. What if you had an angle piece with more length but the same height type of a thing? So that they extended back off of the craft? What have we got to work with? Because I'm underwhelmed by that. Structural wing type C, like this would be one of those things where if I wanted to use them, I'd have to force them to be a different type of wing than they want. Structural wing type C, that's the same one that you just had in your hands. You stupid git. But there are no other wings that are shorter than that, which would mean like the small delta would be the next thing to try, I suppose. Somewhere back there. And then maybe off of the small delta. Could do some crazy stuff. And then it wouldn't, there's no room for the things that need to be there. They look like a bit much. I would rather it have a slower angle than that. But like I say, the structurals, or these guys, they don't attach in the correct direction. Let me see what I get when I force them to... Apollo's shoe. I didn't even know Apollo wore shoes. Who are you talking? What are you talking about? Who's Apollo? What? Let's put the Elevon on there anyway. Just to see what we've actually got. Nope. What the hell is... I guess because this is not the way that this is meant to be attached. So it's like, what about... Where should I put that? Yeah, and the sizing isn't right or anything. Won't really fit in the space. You know, once I pull it to there, it ain't bad. And then actually, if I could just get this to the point where I feel like it's good, because it's like, I'm just looking at the textures and or the models penetrating one another and stuff like that, and trying to find what's the part that I think is acceptable. Acceptable. And I think it does want to be up more. And then it leaves that gap, so more like that. And then just put it at the spot where it's just not penetrating from the other model. Should be that. And then watch this. Oh. And then it just does come straight through the other one. So no, I don't want it penetrating from the bottom. Which would mean that its height would have to be like that. And ooh, I don't like those lines at all. Damn it. You know, I'm okay with that, actually, with the black bit penetrating through there, as long as the white doesn't come through. And give some cool looking bars from one side, and then the top. The only place where it looks cheap is right there, where you can see why it is as it is. But from this side it looks good, from that side it looks good. I'd be okay with that. Maybe a little bit higher. I just don't like where these are. And I don't think I'm ever going to be able to find a place where I like where those are, because of the nature of the beast. The nature of the beast. What if you're embedded more there? Does that help me? A little. Not a lot, but a little. You back up. Yeah. Little OCD issues for me. That's what we're looking at there. Like, that's too high, it's too tall, it comes over the top of that. From this angle all the way back here, I can't see because of the arrows themselves, but at least, like, I think that... one pixel down, please. 1 pixel up now. Yeah. There might be the best line that I could get for that. And depending on the angle, it just doesn't quite come together. Could be bomb attachment points. Lol. But, you know, it does make sense up high so it clears the other elements when they are fully deployed. Yeah, there's a logic to that, okay. But now, you say it could be bomb attachment points, and then I'm thinking, do we have hard points? And where would those be? Are they structural? Small hard point. What kind of standoffishness do we get from those? Could these be used to help the merging issue that I'm having, the it doesn't look good, great thing? Though. If they were just the like thing that they attach to, though, what about that? What angles? What's going on here? Like, would it be possible to, in some way, create something that doesn't look ridiculous from this? And it looks like the answer is going to be, no. No. Definitely no way to create something that doesn't look ridiculous from that. Hang on, though. I'm not giving up yet. Yeah, I don't think we're going to find anything small enough. Basic fen. Let's try and fill the space. Fill the space. You're going a little far with this wing design there, Pawn. Oh, do ya? Oh, do ya? I really like the small hardpoint look, but I don't think that gets her done. Second type of hardpoint, I don't know if we've unlocked it, though, is the thing. Like, if the small hardpoint is here, you might not be talking about hardpoint, but that's what I'm talking about, so now we're here. Yeah. Is there a... Oops. Is there a different, you know, elevon that would... I mean, that's the size right there. You know, when you get down to it, there's nothing that's smaller, nothing that's going to fit the space that we've got correctly. But big, fat, chunky boy like you. Now, hey, that's a completely different way to go. Be to lean into the that's big. I know I can't do it. Damn it. Is what I'm going to say. Talk about hard points, but it's been a long time since I used hard points. I think there is a bigger model. I just don't think we've bought into it in the tech tree yet. So we haven't got it. We also don't actually need yaw. We should have it, though. And we said that this looks good, and that's a big part of this, is that it looks good. I think the closest that we got to anything that would work was that, you know, visually. And this. Of the parts that we have, it was just simply that kind of a setup. Let's get you... What do you do on an absolute? You do that. Good for you. I'm going to try and drag you up to flat with the tip of the wing you're attached to. That is flat with the tip of the wing you're attached to. And then I'm going to line up the black lines so that the fat black hits the fat black and goes up like that. So that's what we'll go with for having a little bit of yaw control and adding a touch of style. Jesus, look at the mess I've made of wings trying to come up with that. So that gives us some lift and some yaw, and we can, you know, control from rotation. So we'd start with this and say, you're just for yaw. You will be for pitch and roll. You will be for just pitch. So, yeah. I don't hate that. I don't hate those wings. I think we got somewhere. I think it's a good balance of stuff. Now that we've done all that, let's rip it apart and throw it all away. Kind of, actually, because what ought to happen here is that this be rebuilt so that it attaches in pieces off of the main body instead. You know, like that wants to be attached to, you know, the ship here. And then this needs to be attached to that. This is the wrong angle for that kind of a thing, but do we have an angle that fits there? So throw that away, do that, and then grab me one. Do we have one that attaches on the side like that? And the game is so limiting in what pieces you have and how they naturally attach that the answer is looking like it might be no, which would be that is supposed to be like that, but at the very least, this should be attached to one of these pieces that attaches horizontally so that it's less miles away from how it connects to the ship. Yeah. Mr. Vatnadal, 17 months worth of subscription. Thank you so much for the 17 months worth of support and for bringing it back. Welcome back to the Big Dick Club. I will buy groceries and keep the lights and heat on in this house just for you. Thank you. Thank you for helping to pay my bills around here. Mr. Vatnadal, 17 months. It's an odd number to have to multiply by 3, so I'm not going to even try, but you've got that many inches. But yeah, so that's now just attached straight to the ship, and then this has got all that shit going on, and I think what we should do is take that off of you, and then see if there's a piece. There's not going to be. It's going to be this, and it attaches like that. And so it's going to come off of here and do that. Oh no, you could attach here instead. I think, yeah, and then you're just... Everything is just 2 away at the most from actually being attached to, you know, the hull. That would be the goal here. No struts required, that kind of a deal. So you'd be to there. This thing is attached directly to... Actually, you're attached to that. Apparently you need to come out a bit. Wherever the lines used to line up is where they're going to end up again. Oh, you're attached to that one, right. So you need to come closer to him. We want that line, just not that thick and mean and angry. Same thing back here. No texture tearing, but no thick line. Yeah, that's okay. And then you, sir. Almost. No, see, because you're texture tearing that guy. But you're coming off of here, and then so you're gonna go away anyway. You're done. You're dead to me. You're dead to me. And instead, got you with perfect snapping, absolute, and then pull you out to the point where you're not merging. There's a thing in this game that's like, did anybody ever, I don't know, look at or think about this? Like, why do all the wing parts not actually work? Like, they don't snap together correctly. When you snap them with absolute, they immediately go into some texture tearing mode and stuff like that. It's like, this ain't... Somebody needed to, you know, think about it. You go to put the elevons on and they attach in the wrong orientation to every part that they would naturally attach to. It's like, hey guys, what if? Alright, there's some texture tearing back here now. And there, and then you attach to there, and then all of this is you. So, how do I get that? Do I, like, merge you in a little bit? And we still got texture tearing there now from you, which means everything has to move forward. Yeah, like all of the plane parts are just wrong. You have to put them on and then immediately start rotating them to get them into a position that makes sense. And then if you follow any of the snapping guidelines native to the game, everything is merging into one another in a way that doesn't... It's not good. Doesn't look good. It ain't right. It's clearly not right. Like, it's one of those, like, early decisions that was made, you know, or certain things that were put into place. God damn it, now you're doing that. That they then couldn't back... They didn't feel like they could back off of. Because now people had made crafts based on these parts that start in these various orientations, and because of the orientations they start in, and so forth and so on. You know where I'm going with that. So wait a second, you come straight off, right? Yeah, and I replaced that with that. I think actually I want to go back to the other one and the way that it was. It'll still just be two. You know, one step away from the hull anyway. But it will be attached to that and then to here. Because otherwise we get this kind of ugly edge there. Is it ugly though? I mean, it's thin. It just doesn't match the rest of it. Yeah, and it's too repetitious. So, no, that's the same one. You want this one. And then we take it off of there. What it was previously. We want the big thick black lines to line up. Yeah, that's not good. So it's like I gotta figure out which one is going to be the one, and then everything else has to reference to it. This one, in the place that it is, that's the one. So in reference to you, that means this guy needs to line up like his white line there, I think, with you. So that edge is now good. And then for you, now you gotta adjust yourself so you're not texture tearing anymore. And you're not. And now I'm gonna have to open this up. Let's see just how much space we're eating up with these wings so far. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. Close that back up. Close that back up. And now we move you back out. Well, actually, first I'm going to move you in so that your black line matches up with his black line. Yes, that's nice. And now I'll move you. We'll see, but you're lining up there, and this... Is this okay? Yeah, that's fine. It's always going to be a little bit wonky there. Pull you back out. There you go. Nice, clean lines on the wings, and it only took 15 minutes, plus the 3 hours. However long it is. We've been here 2 hours and 22 minutes. Those are pretty nice, clean lines. And I like those wings. I like that wing, those structures. We are at 3,049 meters per second, a delta V, and that is based on vacuum around Kerbal, with a TWR of 0.6, and that's while carrying 4.5 tons of payload on the interior here. So open these up and make sure that we're clearanced on everything, and we're not. So in order to get us clearance for these, let's just set a deploy limit of, what do we like? $87, let's say it's 88. And then everything else, then everything's going to be 88. So your deploy limit is going to be 88. Okay. Close you up. Close you up. 002, shuttle. Mark 1. Just that we've saved it in case suddenly the game crashes, my computer catches on fire, and everything else goes wrong too. You can make struts in between wings without them being visible. I mean, they would be attached anyways in real life, making wings in KSPB. It only took 15 minutes plus the 3 hours. You know, for the wings, it's one of the things that I would not be opposed, now that you got me thinking about it, not be opposed to just auto-strutting to, I guess, grandparent part. I'd rather it be the parent part, so that this is attached to that, but that's not an option here. So basically anything that is not attached directly will auto-strut it to the grandparent so that it is attached to the core. So that's not attached there. This one as well, auto-strut to the grandparent. I would usually do struts for everything, because I'm just a dick about that. I'm a prick to myself. Oh, you go through there and then attach to there, but still. But I think this is the very appropriate time and place to be using auto-strutting, even if you're going to be a stickler about strut type things. So, still not thoroughly convinced on, you know, the front being like that for the shuttle. Are we going to look at pods again, Pawn? I think we're going to look at pods again, Pawn, is the thing.
Hold mode entered.
Okay, yeah.
Just a quick update,
She's
sir.
really
We've
just
closed
getting
the
on my
first
nerves
candle
now.
of our new position, and I've now set our true stop loss at $4,242.53. I will
Great.
continue to keep you apprised.
Oh, excellent.
Stop loss price updated.
It's a reasonable place for our lift to be as well, and having it a little bit further back from like dead center gives it some sort of extra stability, you know, in that it's not, if it's perfectly balanced, then it's like, you know, it's got a lot of high mobility, but it's not particularly stable. Having it a bit back like that is probably best of all worlds there. So I say I'm not convinced with that cupola as the thing, and yet there's not a lot better options here, you know. We could have a lander can, but then the lander can looks this way down, you know, it looks out like that, and that's just not really what I want. The cupola, I think the seat should be looking out this main window. I think that's what you see out when you're on the interior of it. I mean, we'll put it on the pad and have a look at it. This is something that is supposed to land, so I guess we're not wasting our time to, oh shit, to look at wheels. We don't have any wheels that are meant to carry this kind of a load. How can I have unlocked this much of the tech tree and have that, and I don't have the wheels that go along with it? What is this game? What's going on here? What kind of a game are they gaming with this game? They're gaming me, I'll tell you that much. Look at this shit. What I'm doing over here. Yeah. I think you'd be there, and then, no, I needed symmetry for you. This is fine. It's fine. You don't know how fine it is with its fineness. I don't think we could possibly get away with that. I don't think we can get away with this either, but we're gonna...
You can't buy me, hot dog man.
If this thing is supposed to land on the runway, you need to send Houston out to pave it. With the amount of coffee in him today, he could have that done in minutes.
I'm all for making Houston do more work around here. See, he's got so much time to make fun of me and my flights and stuff like that. He's needs to work a little bit. Damn it. Like I clearly am by sitting in here building a craft that we don't even have, like, wheels for, that we can't actually land with if we wanted to. Look at that. I mean, we could go up to like 6 skid plates, a couple of steel beams for skids. It's not a bad idea. Thank you, Little Magnets, for the 110 bits, by the way. That is disgusting, says Florida Sidler, isn't it, though? Isn't it just? We could, it's the centipede. It's a big fat... In fact, what's the, what's the bug I'm trying to think of that, you know, has a bunch of legs, but it's real fat like this? It's a grub worm or something like that. Yep. No, it's fine. It's fine. You don't understand. It's fine. You don't know. Shh. I actually kind of like it now that it's got all those wheels on there. It's getting millipede or something. Save it. How much money we got? 4.3 million. We've invested a lot of money into building this thing and the time already. We will have to upgrade the runway. So for 112,500, pave it. We could make it the full thickness version of it. But max vessel weight of 140 tons. I'm going to stick with that now, but the spaceplane hangar, in order to put anything out through it, 1.2 million to go up to the full spaceplane hangar, and we kind of have to. Otherwise we can't. I mean, we support 255 and basic action groups are available currently. Can I launch this? No, it was angry about the runway, right? That's what it was angry about. So I can launch this from this hangar now. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it doesn't have the thrust that it would need in Atmo to do anything. I don't think. Maybe. We'll give it a try. What else would need to go on to this shuttle, though? You know? We don't have any solar generation, any additional electric charge beyond the 200 that the front stores. It doesn't have jet engines that are going to be generating electricity for it. I believe the Poodle does generate electricity when it's running, so maybe that's fine. Let me just go and verify that on the Poodle. Output at full power, electric charge 8. So yeah, it's got an alternator. RCS, yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. And docking. Any possibility of, like, being able to dock with this thing to something else, or have something else dock to it? I mean, we've got the, you know, in here. We've got the, you know, in here, obviously. Let me take that off. Flip you around and then just have one either end, because why not? It's a nice big bay to be able to build and transport satellites and all kinds of stuff to space. Squat little thing. Needs comms. Needs comms, and it just ought to have some kind of solar. It's a shuttle, after all. Add that there, and then I extend the antenna. The problem with that is every time that they exit the craft, they're going to be threatening breaking the friggin' antenna if I have it there. If I have it down here, we can actually land without pulling it in, although we would, you know, kind of a thing. It's actually a reasonable place for it, doesn't look bad. I'll leave you there for now. Solar. We don't need much, because, you know, it generates its own electricity by running the engine. And it shouldn't be, like, consuming it, but it just seems like as a matter of course, at this level in building craft, especially a big one like this, we should have some solar on it, right? I mean, maybe we don't. Maybe we just don't. Because it does, there's a part of it that seems silly to me. If we had these, something like that, extend the solar panels, come out like so. It being such a big, fat craft, trying to have solar panels that would actually see sunlight from all angles, you'd want to go with the more extendable ones like that. I like the solar panels at the front there that look so thick. You liked the 3x2s instead of these guys? Because there's a good reason for them to be like this in, you know, reality, but we don't have to abide reality. we genuinely, not a silliness there. I don't mind having them back there either. Let's see the thick ones again. For aesthetic, yes. Okay. And they are really kind of backup. We don't need them. So, if I just line you up with sort of that square. And then track the solar panel there. Sure. Could have a ladder for the idea of being able to get in and out of the thing. Have to be a big friggin' ladder. It's pretty much perfect, though. Damn if that ain't perfect. What does that ladder cost? 0.005 tons. It weighs as close to nothing in the game as anything can weigh. But you would then also need to get to the top of that ladder, and how do you get to, you know, the rest of where you're going? So I would have to add more ladder. Boy, I don't love any of this. Any of what I'd have to do here. Give me you. Absolute. Yep. Give me you. Absolute. Yep. Give me you. Pull you up again. Absolute. Yeah, that's great. Wow. I wonder if you'd be able to climb that. We could put somebody out to test it. I mean, that's what I'm putting all this stuff on here for is just to put it out there and see what we get to. That is 0.005 times 3 now. So it's up to 0.015 tons pulled off to just one side and not on the other, which isn't great. But it's such a heavy craft, I don't think that that's a big thing. And we could add more weight there if we needed, if we wanted, if we thought it would be a problem in the long run. I want to put this out on the pad and see what happens. I'm going to need a volunteer to... Oh, Jeb, yes. Yes, this is a good mission for you to just get out there and just see what happens. Poodle engine LFO really shouldn't be able to generate... I don't know. If we're just on wheels, we're just pushing it slowly forward. Maybe it works out over time and it builds enough speed, and then we see if this thing's got any lift of its own. It's a thing. It's a possibility. Put the brakes on. See, you've already twisted off, and we have no steering on any of those wheels. Oh, hey. So, let me get inside, and yeah. See? That's the view that I wanted. Chase cam will work for this. Before we try and test any of that stuff, can we just see if we can climb these ladders? If we can't, then we'll have to revert. But Jeb, step out of the craft, stand up, and then F grab. Nope. Space let go. That's not the right one to grab. Looking for you to grab these. And you're just doing that. Come on down. F grab. And then you can't transfer from that one to the next one. So F or space, and then you fall off. Jumping off, not the main concern. So if you climb up, and then you get to those, and that happens. Okay. Yeah, that's, yeah. Climb out, and then I hit F again. No, and then you flip. And then there, F climb out, and then F. F climb out. F. Wow. Wow, Kerbal. Yeah. Alright, so, no. No, we couldn't do that. Revert to launch. Yeah, it is. It's a nice view. Aerodynamicism. I don't know. I mean, we could put a big nose cone on the front of it that gets jettisoned away once we've got it up, if that's an issue. Brakes on, SAS on, throttle to full, and let's actually try and take this thing down the runway. So, again, give me the chase cam. And let's see what happens when we try to make it go somewhere. This engine is designed for space and not much else. Which is why we're not making a bunch of speed. But who knows? I'll F12 it to try and get some aero forces showing. A lot of runway here, so as long as we can build this speed over time. $55 meters per second. 60. Pull up. No. Didn't think so. Jeb, this is why we chose you for this mission, in case you were wondering. Trying to get lift forces off of the wings themselves generally. Oh, hello. Okay. It's flying at 70-something meters. We did have to run it off the end of the runway, but it is flying. I mean, this is proof of exactly what we need from a shuttle return kind of a craft. Is that it can just barely kind of support its own weight, and it will, you know, have more speed as it's descending kind of a thing. We're trying to build speed with an engine that's not supposed to... It's not what it's built for. I'm going to turn SAS off, and I'm going to desperately try and trim us up. Okay, yep. Watch it there, Jeb. Getting kind of close to the water. Just pitching. Pull up. Yeah. Well, good water landing. Anyway. The flying whale, in a bit the swimming whale, yes. It flies. It flies, and at a low speed of like 65 meters per second, it can keep itself aloft. I think down to like 55 probably with the right height and kind of thing. That's not bad. I would like to do it again, and this time actually try things like roll and yaw, and also maybe I can get the trim set before we get up there. Or I could just ignore it and use SAS instead, which is what I'll do. Okay, throttle to full and go. And I won't pull up at any point, and you'll just have to run off the end of the runway, but that should mean that you'll get more speed because I won't spend any time resisting your building of speed by trying to pull up against it when it can't. Squat little shuttle there. Again, aero forces enabled. I'd love to be able to see, like, how big that line is. You know, the line from the front of the thing going back, because I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of drag from that. Chase cam. I mean, actually... we could do it from here. No, bad idea. Oh, God. Pull up. Okay, bad time to play with the cameras is what we found out there. A little bit of a... Realized I needed to see more than that. But it would have been cool. SAS on top. Go. Fact, fizz warp. Fizz warp. There you go. 2 times. And it is just a very nice view. And then if the game didn't, you know, load the camera into a place like that, then we would have been able to actually steer the thing when we came out of it. Okay, back down to single. We're up to 77 meters per second coming off. Pulling up now. F12 on the arrow. Show me those forces. Thank you very much. What I'd like to do is try roll. We've got roll. So that red line there, where do you think that's coming from? Do you think, like, I'm thinking that it might be the, uh-oh, Jeb. That it might be from the cockpit all the way back. From the cupola, rather, all the way back. Yeah, kind of hard to land on those, Oh, and Jebstead. Cool. Kind of hard to land on those wheels with this mass, is what we're seeing there. Really need actual wheels. Change the attachment angle of the wings. Rotate upwards 0 to correct for the pitching down. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Give it a little bit of just natural lift. Oh, but I can't, because the wheels, it's so this. It's not one wing. It's not one wing. It's a billion friggin' pieces of wing. The way that I built it before, I could have done that. And then I could have just auto-strutted all of them to the root part, and then yeah. But I can't. Really need some actual wheels. What's the best wheel I've got? The Rove Max Model 2, baby. We could fly on those. Tolerance, impact, tolerance, 125 meters per second impact. This is 325 meter per second impact. Your tolerance is 20 meter per second impact. So if I made all of the wheels the steerable landing gear. Somebody said steel beam rails. And you might not have been wrong. Because if we do have something that stands off rail-like on the bottom to land on, and then have these guys, they are better. But they have no brakes. Fuck. Yeah, they have no brakes, and we would have no way of stopping. Unless I put, like, I don't know, engines on the front that we could fire retrograde after we land in order to negate our forward velocity, which would mean that we would have to have liquid fuel on board still when we were coming down, or else we would land at speed and just slam into whatever was near us. We need real wheels. Let's just exit, let's not save anything there, and see where the fuck the game is hiding the real wheels when we've got this much of the tech tree unlocked. Are they there? They're there. Damn it. So I can't be angry because we skipped one and it was in the 90 tier. Yeah. And at least you'd get that. And their tolerance is only a 50 meter per second impact, though. Because they're small landing gear, which means we'd need the advanced landing gear, which would be the mediums, which are still the same rating. What? So it's just a visual what? Small landing gear, 50 meter per second impact, 50 Gs. And then the mediums, which are 50 meter per second impact, 50 Gs. And the heavy landing goes up to 70 meter per second impact, 50 Gs. I mean, at least you can land on them. You can land on those with over 200 meters per second. Ah, the game lying again, yes. But so 90 science. Where can we scrape up 90 science? Seems like we can't actually build the friggin' shuttle to the point where we could launch it anyway. Like, we could build it. We have built it, some might argue. I might be one of them. Mm-hmm. We can land it in water is the other thing. You know, we can bring it down in water. So we get it. Don't even put wheels on it for now. Save it without the wheels. We get it close enough to, you know, if we can target to come back to the space center at all, you know, we can target an ocean a lot easier. We put the thing down in water. Slow speed, 55 meters per second, just fizz in and you're fine. Time to head to business with a lab and science the hell out of it. That would get us what we needed, surely. Wow. 50 meters per second is more like impact. Okay. Because the numbers, you know, I'm looking at this and saying 125 meter per second impact on the fixed landing gear, 325 on the steerable landing gear, and then you get like the medium stuff and it's like only 50 meter per second impact. But I suppose what's not like apparent there is that the others have shocks and struts. So if you launch them at a building at 50 meters, so they, you know, there's more. But when you're talking about impact tolerance, I don't know, maybe you want 50 Gs of pressure and then it's 50 Gs of pressure on the other one, but if they handle more, it's like none of these numbers really help us, do they? None of the numbers that they've put here really indicate much that's useful to a person who's building. Ah, Kerbal. The Kerbal lab record was don't on the small retractable wheels. No, they don't. They don't have... No, they don't in terms of they don't have any information that we need. Ah, yes. I think. So, yeah, this was never meant to take off, as we've just been playing with right there anyway. It was meant to be pushed to space. So, at the current place that we are right now, we're looking at delta V in vacuum, 3,020 meters per second, around with a TWR of 0.6. It's a shuttle. It can fly. It can fly enough to set itself down when we get back from Kerbin. A good question to ask, a very good question to ask, would be when we try and re-enter with this shuttle, what is our ability to dissipate heat? And how can we make that better? Oh, by the way, that was while carrying 4.5 tons of load. So a good question to ask is, what is our ability to dissipate heat, and what can we do to make it better? Our experience recently with Bill's ship, with Bill's engineer's ship, was that the thermal control system, small, didn't do shit for us. Didn't do a goddamn thing. To deploy a thermal control system and then activate it. Well, when you deploy it, it just instantly activates it, I believe. It didn't help us get rid of heat in any meaningful way. The radiator itself, a proper radiator, seems to be doing a very good job at dissipating heat. Problem is, it only helps the part that it's attached to. So, with that said, we could either try and scale up to like wow, 45,000 to buy in. Might as well. In for a penny, in for a pound. The thermal large extend radiator. That's not something that we can return from atmosphere in. Thank you. Let's buy into the medium and see what that is. Yeah. You also... You wouldn't like fitting here, would you? Yeah, you would. Just about. Just about. I mean, close enough that I would allow it to penetrate ever so slightly if this were, you know, useful to us in some way. That I could have that as a whole ship heat system. But I really feel like these things are just not designed for, you know, getting rid of re-entry heat. They're designed for in space removing, or in a vacuum, removing heat from drilling purposes, kind of thing. You're generating heat. These are designed for moving that heat away and dissipating it in a vacuum where that is kind of impossible. Because what do you transfer the heat off to? How do you cool it? The air comes through. There's no air. But so I don't think that they're very effective for like re-entry. I believe the radiator works on parts depending on proximity, not just the part it's attached to, but I could be wrong. That's what it says. I've never seen it do anything for any part that wasn't the thing that it was attached to. The small radiator on Bill's ship is attached to his cockpit, and I believe 2 of the landing legs are also attached to that cockpit, and those landing legs absolutely were on fire, and one of them blew up. But it helped the cockpit. You know, the cockpit never got hot. So, I don't know. I have no evidence to support the idea, and I have no evidence to support the idea that the medium thermal control system would actually help us in a significant way either. You know, it says cools nearby parts. I've just never seen it work for anything that it wasn't directly attached to. In a meaningful way, anyway. So, for the sake of re-entry, if we had a radiator Now we have, what's the radiator's weight again? 0.01 tons. Remember, we've got all these ladders over here that don't actually help or work at all, so we don't need any of these ladders over here. But we've got them on that side of things. If I had a radiator on this side of things, the problem is that it doesn't really look right, but what are you going to do? Put you over here. And that should balance out some of the weight because the ladders that we'll need, and apparently we're going to do the old way that we used to deal with this, which is to build ladder to ladder with extendable ones. So I'm going to need you to come out of here. Without blocking anything. We just put it anywhere for now because we need to extend it. We need to extend you. And then we need to try and get this to the point where it helps us up. The rest of the ship. Doesn't need to be there, but it kind of needs to be there, is the other part of that. It not needing to be there is the part where it needs to be there. Wow. And then what does that end up looking like? Ends up looking ridiculous. I think. What do you think? I think we're not using ladders. We're just not. It's not. We can't solve that problem. Is what I'm going to say. Hello, Cap. Yes, Fairy. Cap. Yes, Fairy. KAP. Yes, Fairy. K. Cap. Cap. Yeah, hi. How you doing? So if you know the whole proximity thing. Show me proof. On the radiator. I want one, obviously, on the cockpit. And you know, for the trouble the game wants to give me in finding a place to put it, or the place that I put it, I'll tell you where I'm going to put it, buddy. Make you the root part again, pull that off. Here's where I'm going to put it. You son of a... And then you can't turn it on. Yes, I can. I just have to attach. I just have to put a thing with the other. It's not very fair for you to bury a radiator in there. All right. With your fairness, demands of fairness. So I'm gonna put you there, and then with our antenna, slide it down, pull it out, make enough room for everything to work. It all works. Yeah. Urban Venture, raiding with a party of 15. Urban Venture, thank you for the raid. Welcome in. What were you guys doing today? Oh, God, I'm feeling like overwhelmed. I'm hot. I need a live stream break. How you doing? It's a very simple shuttle. I mean, for as long as we've been here, this is how all my builds go. We got 34 parts on the thing. How long have we been here tinkering on it? At least we know it can fly. What are you doing with your penetrating there? Huh? Your deploy limit? Did that change somehow? Maybe that changed somehow. We need to figure out the deploy limit that makes sense for that. No. No, 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 no. You're just lying. Game is lying. Game lying. The deploy limit is 88. It was always 88. You're just not doing it. You're pretending like you're not listening to your own thing. If I move it to 87, then I bring it back. Game. Hey, game. Hey, ladies. Played some KSP. Landed our first moon base in career. Excellent. Very cool. I'm just working on some kind of a shuttle. You know, we've been here... We haven't gone any further than Minmus. You know, we've been to the moon. We landed the moon. We've landed Minmus. Haven't even put a space base in orbit. Done a bunch of satellites, contracts, and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to scale up and start thinking larger. So we're playing with the idea of having a shuttle where you can you know, return the entire craft when you're done with it. Fly the thing back down. And I think my last concern before we figure out how to strap this to some SRBs and another liquid fuel engine or liquid fuel stage to shove it to orbit so it doesn't have to push itself there, is heating of re-entry. And so, like, we'll be coming down. If we've got the cockpit taken care of, I don't feel like anything else should be that big of an issue. The wings might heat up a little bit, but they're wings, you know, they're not gonna just explode on you unless they do, when they do, you know? Been pretty cool. I love shuttles. This is very squat. And this is a bad idea right there. It's so, like, unaerodynamic to just shove the face of the cupola module into the wind like that. But it's the kind of bad idea that I want to do, you know? Going for a NASA-style launch stack? Not in any genuine sense. In like it's weighted and all of that kind of thing. I'm just going to figure out what I got to do to shove it up there. If it's just throw a bunch of stuff underneath it and push it up, that's fine by me. Whatever has to happen. Probably some liquid fuel engines that get dropped asparagus style or something, because what are we looking at in the mass here to push all this up there? It's 42.7 tons that we want to push to orbit. What is our problem? Why am I doing this? Why not just... Because you like the idea of a shuttle point. Oh, right. Yeah. I talked about the idea of making this more aerodynamic, at least on the flight up. And that would involve putting on a decoupler of a reasonable size. Maybe even the correct size. I don't know. Maybe what about the TD-12? Like, how much better would our aerodynamic profile be if I, by the way, flip that so that when it comes off, it goes away. But how much better would our aerodynamic profile be if I did that? I think the other one was less stupid. And yeah, there you go. That's the one. But left the rest of the face as nasty as it is, you know? Because otherwise, it's the kind of thing where I should just cover it in a fairing. And then blow the fairing off. What have I got in terms of... Do I have large nose cones that I haven't bought into? Yeah, you got this. That'd cover it. But it would be then it's a fairing. And it's a fairing style simulation. And you could still use that, because it's not going to be a problem. Still use that to be our decoupler. But then use an appropriately sized fairing. Which should be you. Do I not? You do have it, you just haven't bought into it. Give me that. And then I suppose the idea would be flip it over, give me interstage nodes. I don't think there's any need of the truss structure here, because there won't be anything in there. You do that. Close the fairing around all of that, and then put you on there. Yep. And then close you up. Close you up. It's a lot of extra weight and silliness. A lot of extra silly weightness. 2,957. We lose 70-ish meters per second of delta V for that aerodynamic profile. Hello, Vulcan Rider, by the way. Yeah, I don't want to deal with like a properly NASA-style shuttle launcher with an asymmetrically weighted, etc. and so on. I don't care that much about this shuttle. I mean, look at it. Does it look like I care about? We took an incredible amount of time just picking out our wing shape, but I still want to pretend like I don't give a crap. You don't need to do that. That's excessive. You could just do this, and then delete the fairing. You'd even turn the nodes off, build the fairing. It'll save you a couple of meters per second in delta V, I think. 2,967, so we get 10 back. Big nose cone on that. Suppository? What do I... Who put candy corn on the top of the ship? I think I'm gonna go with it though. It's a stylish choice is the thing. And it gets thrown away. The idea. If I would have left the wheels on, we could at least go out and fly it and see how the aerodynamics improve. It's a lot to take up to do that. And the other thing, Pawn, is that again, if you care about your aerodynamics and stuff, like you could do a smaller size fairing. No, flip it over. And then, can I get like snapping on that? There was a spot in there where it would just close it. It was happy to just close it for me. Snapping is not helping. There's lots of places where it would do it. Why can't I stop on any of them? I mean, the other way is just to like bring it out to here and then do like that. And then you could put a more conventional, just a not that huge nose on it. What about you? Are you like the size that we would need? 2,985. It's saving. There are savings in that. Now, if it's that, then it's got to be that. Yeah, we'll make you metal. That's cool. Moon or bust? Wait, where are we going? I don't know. We were just making a shuttle. Hello, Noah Craw. Welcome. Yeah, we were just making a shuttle, and for the sake of aerodynamics, doing something like that. Let me try getting this fairing to attach in one clean cone. Wouldn't that be nice? And there's so many places where it's just the snapping isn't, it's not, snapping doesn't seem to matter at all here. Turn it off and maybe you'll have better luck with finding the blue point where it's ready to close it. What if I did that? Okay, with the snapping there. That's worse than we lose more delta V doing it that way. It also doesn't look as crap. Yes, it does. It still looks crap. Legit, that's a Kerbal shuttle. You think so? I'm glad it's starting to look the part, because I hadn't convinced myself yet. $29.85 looks fine, I guess. I guess. We don't have any wheels for it, sadly. We haven't unlocked the wheels that we would need. None of these survive anything when we've tried to land on them, so that's... So it's a water landing necessary for this shuttle. At least on its first return, we'll bring back enough science in order to be able to buy into wheels from whatever the mission is that we would take with us. 2,977 meters per second. Damn it. That's not... Yeah. Shoot. Incidentally... Yes, Pawn. Can I... remove you from staging? I've never... Fairing staged. Fairing not staged. Because we'll be throwing it all away all at once with that decoupler is the idea. I'm going to put the wheels back on. These stupid wheels that just don't make any sense. We're going to put the wheels back on. I never should have taken them off in the first place. Just so that we can roll it down the runway and see if we've made any improvement by adding these ridiculous things that I've added. So, as before, we'll have 6 sets of wheels that are way too small and that we can't possibly land on. Try and come back. Is that the right height? It looks like it could be. Doesn't matter. They just gotta get you down the runway a little bit. You're definitely not the right height. Now you might be. Yeah. And then maybe pull you back a little bit more. Sure. Center of mass to center of lift. It's fine as it was before. I would love to tilt the wing up. Maybe we rebuild the wing the way that it was previously, or you know, a way that I can have the wing all be one part. I auto strut it to heaviest part just so that they are one entity, and then I can rotate the wings so that we've got some implicit amount of upward force. Does the science lab fit in the cargo bay? Little Magnus, does the science lab fit in the cargo bay? That's interesting. I really hope KSP2 has some kind of alignment tool. That'd be so useful. I mean, we've got there's a bunch of alignment tools here in KSP1. It's just none of them work. So all we need is one that works. So the lab, mobile processing lab, you better believe it fits. And how much do you weigh? 3.4 tons. You're actually less to carry that than the ballast that we've been pulling around just to... You know what? Let's leave the ballast behind this time, too. It'll make for an easier flight. We might actually be able to get some loft. Yeah, and fly it like a plane. But so, Shuttle Mark 1. Save that. And then we'll go put it out on the runway, and we're going to be flying. This engine is not designed for this. This is the Poodle. This is meant for space. So it's a slow run down the runway. What are we doing? Just building a generic shuttle to be able to carry things to space for us, have a bay and that kind of a thing. The immediate mission would be, once we got the shuttle, I've got 2 different satellites that need to go into place, and in fact, they are going in opposite directions around Kerbal. So, really, the first test of this would just be to haul 2 lightweight satellites up, let them go, and then they'd go and position themselves where they're going, I would think. So we'd not really go past LKO, low Kerbal orbit, with this on its first test flight. But yeah, just something I wanted to do. Hi Mr. Bags. Space Kitty, hello pause. This is Bags, actually. Bags has got his own chair right here. Yeah, there you go. Sitting next to me these days. Just wants to chill. Just wants to chill with me. SAS on, throttle to full, brakes off and go. So yeah, that engine, not meant for any of this, really. F12, so that we can see the aero forces as we go. And yeah, I really did like that idea, Dramacian. I think it was your idea to angle the wings up a little bit, so we've got some natural loft on this craft that wants to fly a bit like a brick. All right, I will pull you back. SAS should be doing that, but I'll pull you back towards center. So at this point, we do have to just run this thing off the end of the runway to get it to come up. And pulling up now. Whoop! And there you go. Okay. Yeah, and now that we don't have the ballast that we're carrying, we can actually keep reasonable speed and make loft. Not much, but some. Come on, SAS, do your work. Or else I will turn you off, and I will trim this craft. I'm turning it off and I'm trimming it. Okay, number one, though, would be I'm going to need enough height to be able to do a little bit of trimming. But I don't want to lose all my speed by pulling up too much. Give me a little bit of height and then start trimming. Okay. Okay. Right. Balance it out. Balance it out. We are now flying without any SAS. Okay. And then in terms of drag, I go in here and I'm looking for that red line. How far does it go back? And looks like we got some interior drag. Okay, Bags. He's just clawing at me the whole time. Yeah. So the interiors are giving us some drag. I wonder if this is worth it at all. Let's hit the button and see if it's worth it at all. In 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'm just trying to get the trim set up again. Drag is just what the body drag is. Yeah, it doesn't look like we've got an excess of drag from the nose here. I mean, wow, the trim is, yeah, crazy. All right, let's just, bank down and let's turn back, prove that we can actually fly on an engine that is definitely not designed with this kind of thrust involved, and that we've used half of our fuel. Oh wow, yeah. Oh, it doesn't bank hard or fast. It's okay. It can fly a bit like a boat, or a truck, or a brick, as we said. All right, trim down, trim down, trim down, because you're crazy right now on the trim. Now that nose cone is gone, yeah, we just don't need as much of it. I'm sure you'll make it back with this fuel. Yeah, we did use half of it getting here, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to allow us to continue climbing so that maybe when we run out, we can dive. Wow, look at us, up to 100 and something meters per second now that we're not, like, right at the surface level. Okay, flatten out a bit. Let trim off. Okay, all of the trim is gone. Well, okay, maybe not all of the trim being gone then, though, Pawn. Here we go. Yeah, no, we're good on the liquid fuel, actually. I'm going to throttle us down. And this is where we find out that these wheels could not possibly land us. Yeah, I'm just going to kill the engine. And just try and scrub off some of the speed. Oh my god. Brakes on. I managed to land on these 6 wheels. Alright. Yeah. The braking authority, not that great. Brakes, 200%. 200%. Okay, little bouncing going on there. Okay, no, that's fine. 100, 75, 50. Wow. And I had, you know, a couple of car lengths to the end of the runway. That was perfect. I nailed that. I nailed that. That's great. So these wheels will work if we had to land on land, if it were a perfectly smooth runway. This thing has more potential even as it is than I thought. Okay. Revert flight to the spaceplane hangar. Okay, Bags. Wow, you are really just playful right now. So yeah, fuck all that noise. We were helped significantly by the fact that we had no load, but that's what we'd be coming back with, is no load, and we wouldn't have all of the weight of all the fuel either. Like, we still had more fuel there than we should be returning with, hopefully. And that's a good actual thing that you might want to put in there upon is drain valve somewhere. So we will drain, you know, near the engine seems like the smartest place to... No? Okay. Why wouldn't we want to drain the fuel near the engine? I don't understand. There you go. And if we could just pull you out. Okay, and I think that drain, because everything's in line, should be able to drain the whole vessel. Let's put the brakes up on this to 100. And then to 70, and then 50 as it was before. Maybe that will work out. Why are we using the cupola when you have plane parts? Because it gives us a cool view. That's it. That's it. Just so that we can look out of the glass. That's all. And we looked at the other, I mean, as squat and weird as this looks, okay, hi Bags, how you doing? When you put, like, just that, when you do the adapters down to that, it looks pretty friggin' weird. When you do the adapters down to that, it still looks weird. Anything other than going to the Mark III cockpit off of these... Okay, yeah, there you go. I don't need to see the screen. Anything other than just sticking with the Mark III cockpit just doesn't really look right. And I don't want the Mark III cockpit because it's 3.5 tons or something. I can't see past the cats. 3.5 tons, and it seats 4 Kerbals. We don't need 4 Kerbals to fly a satellite to orbit or wherever we're going to take it. I want it to have about 3,000 meters per second of delta V, which would give it the potential to land on the moon, which is what it's got right now, while carrying a 4.5 ton load, for no particular reason. Just because you got to have some kind of standard and set it. All right, that is where you need to be. Thank you. And yeah. Needs more stay putniks. Stay putniks. What are these guys? There's no probe control. We talked about, should we have RCS? And when I think about RCS, I think about docking. It would be a good idea for a shuttle to be able to dock. But where would we dock it? You know, we've got the docking ports that are inside of here for us to be able to dock to a space port or something like that. Those are all things. I think I'm going to say that this is done for today. In terms of making the shuttle, and we're going to have another live stream break, and then we'll come back and we will build, we'll see if we can build a solid fuel, liquid fuel, you know, stage that will actually lift 40 some tons to space of this, so that it just puts it into orbit, and then it's got all of that fuel and delta V to do what it's going to do once it's in orbit. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. RCS is for noobs. Real Kerbals dock using nothing but engine gimbal. We could, I think we could do that pretty... I've done that a lot, actually. I would like the RCS. I think it's more fun. It's a little bit less tedious. But yeah, let's have another live stream break. We call it a 7-minute live stream break, but we all know, if we've been around here, that it's more like a 9-minute live stream break these days. So, I will continue saying, 7-minute live stream break is what we're going to take. Go grab yourself a snack or a drink. Meet me back here in those 7 minutes, and we will run a mission with this thing. I mean, we'll at least send it to space before we call it the end of the day. But 7 minutes pulling that out. Oh my god, he's back on time? What the hell? I'll tell you what the hell, I'm tired, man. I've been up for too many of those things. Time, seconds, minutes, hours. Too many hours. But I am in it to win it here. At least to put another hour in and hopefully, like, prove this shuttle by flying it to orbit at an extreme cost. We've spent almost $1 million Kerbucks in buying into parts so that we could build this silly little thing that doesn't have that much of a purpose. And for those $1 million Kerbucks, we've got a craft that's 39 parts. And 3.5 hours worth of design as well. Lights, drogue, shoot. Well, I mean, we plan to fly it in. I don't hate it having a drogue. I'll tell you what, though, little Magnus. Good suggestions. Remind me at the next stream, at probably tomorrow's stream, at 8 p.m. here on twitch.tv in the Eastern Time Zone. That's 8 p.m. Remind me tomorrow, because the only thing that I want to do with this before we just send it up and prove it as a concept is, one more time, rebuild the wing structure. Because I do want... What do you want? I want too many things. I do want the wing to be tiltable as one wing thing, and then I'm already auto-strutting to grandparent part on all of these, so I'm fine to auto-strut it in the rest of the ways. Lady Pawn, if you are tuned in, which you probably... I doubt it, but if you are tuned in, would you be so kind as to put a little bit more food into the bowl of Mr. Bags and Mr. Paws, as Mr. Bags is getting quite... he just wants all of my attention, and I think it might be because he's being prissy, as they both like to do, about eating the food that is definitely still in the bowl, but, you know, there's not that much of it, and they can see the bottom, and so they're a bunch of... I almost choked when you said that. Said, what did I say? About rebuilding the wings one more time? And Lady Pawn was listening as she is putting some food, and the bags is gone suddenly. So yes, there's also our the mother of the 3 kittens that we rescued, that we stole from her, that we rescued and brought inside, is also on the porch and hungry, but she's been fed once today, and she doesn't live here. She gets what she gets, damn it. But she's more and more friendly, especially the hungrier she gets. You're rebuilding the wing again. All right, one last go at rebuilding the wing. So what I want to do is I want to start with you, and I already am there. Okay, so then back to the wings, because it's going to be a different version of the wings we're using. Oh, sort by mass, scrolled all the way to the bottom, and not that, but this. So we're going for one. No? What? How? Who? Oh, it's the slanted way. So it is this guy again. Oh, but he doesn't attach that way. You recall this being an issue. He doesn't attach that way, which means you'd have to force him to attach that way, which is just what you're going to do, isn't it? I think we can something and maybe make that happen. What? So you sweep out off of the back of this guy and end up aligning on that side with that. So if I just put you here, and then it would be that way. And then we'll see if this comes to... If it doesn't, then I'll Control Z or just restore the whole damn thing. But we'll see if we can get this to... it's going to be a manual thing. Maybe not. Go back to that and go to absolute. And then like so. No, that's right. That's right. And then out to here, back in, and then you are attached to... Hopefully I did this right. Good God, if I didn't do this right. So remember, you're going to have to realign all of these parts anyway, so don't put too much effort into it. But you're attached to that, is attached to that, is attached to that, and then this will be attached to you. Are you snapping? You are. You've got weird angles when you do, so F it. There. Absolute snap. Snap you into place. Snapping off, because you're no doubt... Oh, no, you're not too close. Alright. I line you up there. I think from the center, as long as I get those lines correct, then when we move other parts, it will work out. Let's drag you to maybe where the black lines meet one another out there. That looks good. And then, do you attach in the way that I would hope you would? No, you don't, but if we use the other one, then we've got a whole nother kind of a problem. So again, just going to force this to be where I want it. Because then we get the black lines are not the same on the other part that attaches slightly differently, because that's just Kerbal, and I don't like it. So I do like that. Absolute snapped, that gets you on exactly the same level. And then with no snapping, drag back, line up these black lines. Okay, and then you are actually the part that we build everything off of. So, nope, you're gonna need to get to there. Nope, just where we got a little bit of a line left there, but no texture tearing. That's a little bit more of a black line than I'd like, but it is what it is. You claim to be lined up with that, and are not. And he's back. Hello, Bags. How you doing? So I'm lining up the white line at the rear now by eye for that to be nice, and then that lines up with that, which is good. And then you're gonna come back to the point where you line up with that. Just a little bit of a line, and then out to where you're not texture tearing, but still have just a little bit of a line. And then these don't align. No. No. Line that up so that the black lines here come together. No. Put it back where it was before, and then drag this in, this whole thing in, until those black lines meet. There we go. So that's the assembly of the wing. I've only done it on one side. That's fine. Oh, that's less fine. Why? But why? It's still fine. It's still fine. We just take that, and then you put your back on. Now it's on both sides. We're good. No texture tearing. Wing shape still okay. And then you, not at all like any of those things. You, what? You came out like this previously, and were your own deal, but I don't want you to be that anymore. And I don't think they have another part that is the same but goes off at the other angle, which means, again, I'm forcing this into where I want it. Like that. And then in like so. And a thin line. And the only question is, but really? Because like, what does it look like when I align the black lines at the tip out to the out there? And we've got this weird gap on the interior that we could get rid of by dragging everything in, and now this matters what it looks like on the interior with the penetrating of the wings. Doesn't matter that much, but it matters. So then if I took the whole wing and just slid you into where we don't see that anymore, and then closed all this back up, well wait, you didn't even look at it. It's fine, there's some little rails on the interior. It's not great, but maybe it's not something I even like. It's something I very much like. I like the look of that. Let's line up this line here with this line there. And then we'll have a look at the center of lift to center of mass. Center of mass, center of lift, that's all well and good. And now, all of these parts are going to have auto strut to, I think it's going to be to heaviest part. So that the wing is just one solid wing. To heaviest part. I've not been been awake too long, is what I'm saying. Heaviest part. Heaviest part. Heaviest part. So everybody auto struts to heaviest part, including you. Alright, all the wings are just auto strutted now. This can just be attached to those the normal way, but it just, you know, it's a way of forcing it to be one complete wing. I don't love the extra pixels worth of gap there, but we're gonna live with it. Okay. Cargo rails, that's what's on the inside. Attach the rectangle part to the inner rectangle, and attach the slanted part to the outer rectangle, and then flip the thing, and then with the, yep. Sounds like we're talking Kerbal. So now that we've got them like that, I can do this fun little thing. This is the whole point, was so that I could just do something like that. That's it. It was the whole deal. Was that we could put it, give it a little bit of a stock upward incline. And if we are doing that, then we should also lower it just a touch, because we can see that they're not quite... The center of lift is not exactly on the same plane as the center of mass, and now it is. And so that should be even. And the weighting, the balancing should be minimally impacted. Okay. Incidentally, just on the cupola, what are we talking about in terms of reaction wheels? 9. It's probably nowhere near what it really should be for a craft this size, and this craft should have RCS and a whole bunch of other things, but we've been working on it for a real long time. And I want to get to the point where we're trying to send it to orbit. Shall we fly it once more? Once more, just to make sure she's still good with this adjustment. Launch. And then we'll drag it into the VAB and stick a lifter stage underneath it, you know, with the SRBs and the liquid fuel, and see what it takes to push 40 tons of fuel and thing to place. Yeah, let's SAS on, throttle to full, and open her up, brakes off. And maybe even do a little fizz warping, just to get down the runway a bit quicker, because this engine is not designed to propel us in atmosphere. It's meant to be efficient in space, but it does get the job done if you give it enough time and enough runway, which is all of the runway and then some of it that's not runway. So, and some lawn, as we see here, and pulling up. And we are up. And we are flying. Okay. I would like to get us a little bit of height, turn SAS off, and then fly this with just trim. You know, like a plane would. So, more height would be preferable, but we're losing so much speed, it's becoming very difficult to make height. Yeah, we're not really making height anymore. For reasons that relate to something, somewhere, we're losing height. There we go, now we're making height. I'm going to turn SAS off and trim hard. And pull up. Trim more. And pull up. Okay, that's a pretty balanced trim right there. We are all of 30-some meters from the surface of the ocean, but we are slowly climbing. I'm just trimming down a touch. Good. She's flying. Let's see if we can land her one more time. A little bit low to be trying to take a bank in a vessel such as this one. Because of the speed we're going to lose. As we do. But I'm apparently an excellent pilot. So we've made it. Nice and slow turn. Now we just got to get back online with the runway. Flying no SAS here in this great big old dump truck of a shuttle. Very nice. God, I just love... Here, let's switch to chase cam. It's definitely more fit to serve. I just love flying. I love flying without SAS in Kerbal. In atmosphere. Pitch down, pitch down, pitch down. Feels nice. Works well. Some of the best physics in the game. Yeah, we're getting a lot of extra speed here, so I'm throttling back. Pitching down more. Now we'll come in for this landing. And throttling back even more. And diving it in a bit. Let's yaw. Get us online. Killing the engine. Pulling up. Ooh. Ooh. Managed to get her down. She's coming off the runway a little bit. Just gonna tap her over with the yaw. Hit the brakes. And because the brakes are not all at the same rate, we get that kind of a thing. Especially since there's 6 wheels. But it does help us come to a full and complete stop. Okay. Okay, okay. We can fly her, we can land her, she still works. We could put more of a angle on those wings, but I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this, especially for today. So revert the flight back to the spaceplane hangar. We're going to move this craft over to the VAB and start trying to get an idea of what it takes to push this thing to orbit and how we would even go about that. So switch editor. Okay. If I grab you, you'll just immediately reorient. And that is the center of the VAB. Gonna try and pull you up here. Now you can just hold shift and stuff, but it moves it around in the room a lot more, and then it's hard to get it back to a centered location. So yeah, even higher. Okay, I'll switch my brain over to VAB mode instead of SPH mode. The game is so good sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to argue with. Most of the time, not so much, but sometimes. Let's get into Beer 3. Which apparently with the 2 ibuprofen I took today is all of the beer I'm allowed. Alright, so 38.36 tons is what we have to push to orbit here. Let's go immediately to, like, the easiest way to build this is just going to be to build it underneath, which almost certainly won't work, but let's have a look at it. Number one, is this the right size decoupler? It is. So, we'll start there, and that's the wrong size fuel tank. That is not. Are those the biggest? Nope, I've got these. Alright, get rid of you. Where'd the other one go? Here it is. That's a lot of liquid fuel. And I was saying earlier that this is probably going to be the kind of thing where what you want to do is kind of be throwing off liquid fuel or throwing off the weight of the canisters that contain the liquid fuel as you go. But again, let's just drive into it with our heads as far up our asses as we could possibly get them. The skipper, not the best thing that I can think of for the kind of anything that we need. Oh God, what now? Stop beeping. No, it's a sale at loss. Hold mode, take loss. God damn it. Just keep throwing my money away.
Loss.
Dumb fucking bitch.
My hubris has damned us again, sir.
Yes, it has.
The market just descended below our latest position stop loss price.
Yeah, I'm about to just
I've
pull
confirmed the fallback sale closed at
safety brake on you and say, fuck it, I'm out.
$4,242.53.
Cool.
And I'll be adjusting our margins accordingly to account for this new data.
Yeah, no, I love
My
it.
apologies, sir.
Yeah, you should.
Entering
and you do.
buy mode.
And you will. What? So, TWR is nothing, and that's at altitude, which is... Yep. Let's just give it 6 of those on there. TWR up to 1.16, give it 8. TWR at 1.34, 2,272 meters per second. That actually gets it done. That actually is enough for the liquid fuel stage. Yeah, I'm sure this is how you're going to do it, Pawn. This is definitely the way it'll work. We're going to need the biggest friggin' SRBs that we can have or that we've ever had. So give me those. Give me some standoff radial decouplers. And who's feeling 8 again? Who's, 8 tends to be great. Mate is what I have heard. So 8 of you, 8 SRBs. That's way too much delta V. At a reasonable TWR, however. So let's go down to 6. Or just rip the whole thing off. That's also, I did. Yep, why not that instead? I hadn't considered that. Is that grabbing the... Alright, just merge into it. Grab you. 6 of you. 1,654 meters per second. Still too much delta V. And still too much TWR, but of course we could control that. We're about to go to the place where it's not enough now. Wait, no, 4. 4 is where we were going there. The 4 is where we were. Is it? Okay, maybe if you put some landing legs and a parachute on the things so they are reusable? Well, on what? On the SRBs? What? 1.42 TWR with 1,300 with just these two. Are you kidding me? Are you... You must be insane. 1.17 with a TWR of 1,000. That's hard to believe. So 3 is enough. That's very hard to believe. But then I've never used the Pollux before. The main lifting stage, give it its own ability to come back. That's certainly a thing we could do on another day. You're too small. You are too small. Are you the right size? You're still too small. Are you the right size? There we go. Wow, you're ugly. Let's do that, and I can't change the color of those, so let's not do that. So if we fired the SRBs, oh wait, no, from sea level, 1.28 TWR, that's fine. I routinely go for like a 1.3 off the pad with the SRBs. Fire the SRBs, drop that. Well, we switch over to these 9 engines all at once, which should happen at an altitude of around 12K, where we'll still have a 1.34 TWR, which is also fine. It's a slow comeuppance, but hey, there might be 1 or 2 aerodynamic difficulties with this ship, so, you know, hey. And then we drop all of that as we switch over to the main engine. It's a 3-stage ship. If that were in any way, if this worked, then that's what that would be. Give it to me. Why is the place where you grab these so, like, it's just there? That's, who made this game? Who did this? Why would they do that way? Let's make it so that we sit on those on the pad, and we don't have to grab it with any launch clamps or anything like that. Oh, well, actually you'd want to drag these down a bit, so that when they blow off away from the craft, and then you could move this back up. Don't need a bunch of clearance. And then with something this big that's got this much thrust behind it and everything, we're almost certainly going to want to strut these boys. So let's strut them to the ship. Are we snapped? We're snapped now. How about there? Is there good? And then like that. That'll do. So you'll have that for keeping them from pushing in, then you'll have this at the middle, and then down here, no struts needed. Wow, you guys are just right up on each other. It'll be fine. Or not. And you'll note that, like, when I do three-sided symmetry, I don't know that it matters much, but what I have tended to do in the past is we're going to be turning over to the east. So I will put the two SRBs on this side, so that if there is any effect of, you know, instead of cumulatively as 3 going up, and with the body drag, aerodynamic forces and stuff like that, it'll be heavier on that one side, and more thrust on this side, and more drag from that side, and maybe it helps us turn over, is how I've always thought of it. Whether or not that makes any goddamn sense whatsoever. However, our mass exceeds the pad. It exceeds the pad. Let's say that this is the shuttle. It's still the Shuttle Mark 1, but this is actually like... It's not. Open you. Don't save nothing. I just want to look at where we are in the numbering here. So, 15 was the multi-moon mission. And then 001 was Bill's ship. We can stick with 002. And just go on to this numbering premise now, because I should have been doing a 3-digit number from the beginning, is in my head anyway. And fuck it, we'll leave it with 002 Shuttle Mark 1, because this is a save in the VAB separate from the one in the spaceplane hangar, and we can always rip it apart if it weren't. So yeah, save that as it were. So apparently we need to upgrade the launch pad as well. $423,000 a pittance to pay. It's getting to be a lot of money actually. So, this being what it is, we can now just launch the 002 Shuttle Mark 1 with its Jeb, because it's grunt work and you could die. I would send Val, but you could die, and it's grunt work, so no. That's not what we're going to do. So Jeb, yeah, you get out there and fly it. Put that on the pad. It's only 60-some parts. It's a very low part count thing for what I've been doing lately anyway. Especially with the Mystery Science Theater 3000 Satellite of Love we've been building on Sundays, which is now up to over 1,000 parts. And hasn't even been greebled or given any interiors or any of the things that I intend to do. Boy, that's a thing. That is a thing. And the way those wings are, I probably should have had them more into the wind. I don't know. It depends. We'll see. Noob Skin Spammer, good luck. Thank you very much. And welcome to chat. SAS on throttle to... doesn't matter. Well, to full, because we're not going to use those engines at all as we go. Yeah, we're going to have no control authority as the SRBs go up. I mean, we've got the reaction wheels from the cupola, but this is set to help us in terms of yaw. These are set to pitch and roll, and then that's pitch. It's set to fly. I wonder what kind of control authority SAS is going to try and claim from those as we go up. Well, this is definitely one of those situations where I'm just slapping something together and throwing it up, and I have no problems reverting, where I usually care more. Houston, could we get a countdown?
Were you just saying that you sometimes care?
You're insinuating that I never care.
No, insinuation is when you leave it up as though... No, I'm just saying it outright. You don't care.
I'm trying anyway. I'm trying to be a Buddha.
Buddhas don't care?
No, they're free.
Okay, dude, you're just getting trippy now. You need to get some sleep. In 3, 2, 1, fire!
And we're up and away. And I do need to get some sleep. So far just holding dead up. No, we are tilting down to a certain side there, which was not intended, and yeah, that's not how we'd want that to go. Not exactly how we'd want it to go, anyway. If I just throw those away, and then throw that away, and then fly out of it. Fly out of it. Sure. No, you gotta fly into it to fly out of it. Fly into it to fly out of it, Jeb. Nope. Yep. Nope. None of those things. Yep. So that's why Val wasn't invited. Good launch. Good launch, I think. Yes. Maybe that never happened. We revert back to the vehicle assembly. So yeah, we, as I suggested, had no aerodynamic control over this whatsoever. One of the things that I usually do, or that I could do here, is give us a little bit more, thruster authority by running those along. A little bit of extra vectoring from the liquid fuel engines that will help us a bit. But really what we want to do is, I guess, I'm going to take you... See, but you're correct with the U. You're correct with the U is the thing. It means I'm going to have to fly this wrong. Where on the ball, the north is going to be the east, and the east is going to be the north, but it's what needs to happen. So just give me you. In fact, just give me the whole ship, and then rotate it once like that. So for one, that should be better, because we will have some kind of control from these guys in the worst place. This is what needs to happen, is we put this same amount of SRBs and liquid fuel on there, but we build it around the ship, from the center out, instead of putting all of the drag forces at the tip. That's what you want to do. But it's been a long day, and I'm kind of just trying to prove a general concept here, and apparently I'm willing to waste a lot of my and your and really all of our time in order to not have to do the things that I really should do. With six-sided symmetry, can I not fit you guys? Well, you've gone to three-sided on me. Can I not, with six-sided symmetry, fit you in a way that you're around the edges of those three SRBs? I can. So that'll give us some aerodynamic authority as we go up. It will have changed our delta V as well for each of the stages, but that's neither here nor there. We don't have to care about that, do we? With the ship facing that way, what I would then also want to do is twist everything that's below here. Yep, back like that. Thank you very much. Yeah. We'll still have all of the same drag issues and everything, but this is where you would start with a, let's see where we can get with this. Let's make sure... In fact, I'm going to leave you in there, and I'll do it on the pad where I drag that engine in. So the SRBs go, and then we drop the SRBs as we kick up all of those liquid fuel engines, and we drop that and go on to the actual shuttle. So shuttle, launch again. Very little expectation that this will work either, but starting simply, doing the minimum amount of work and seeing if there are improvements. So everything back up, SAS on, throttle to some because I'm going to run, I could run all of those. I think I'll just run the skipper though in there for a little bit of extra vectoring act. Jesus, this ship is so friggin' tall, just trying to put it all on screen. Yeah, there we go. Houston, can we get a countdown?
After the slaughter that I just witnessed, no.
You witness a lot of slaughters. Don't pretend like this is the first day.
Yeah, alright then. In 3, 2, 1, fire!
Up again we go. Now in order to go to the 90, I actually have to bank down. So I'm going to pull down. Oh, I'm pulling down real hard to get any sort of movement, and then I did get some movement. I want you to just follow your prograde if you can. Nope, it is flipping over immediately. Really should have been looking at those forces, aerodynamic forces, while we were going up to see where it's creating all of that. Pull us in a direction. Let's just leave this to sort itself out. Yeah, no, this is good. Uh-huh. In fact, what you'd want to do is follow your retrograde here. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Look at that. Anybody, any survivors? Any survivors? Any survivors?
I'm here.
Not you. Nobody cares. Alright, revert back to vehicle assembly. Yeah, this is, just not how you do this, is the thing. And God, I don't want to, I said I'm tired as hell. I don't want to actually try and build something that would work to lift this to space. It's so what a person might do if they were trying to make this work. Yeah, no. Grab the SRBs from this one ridiculous point there. Yeah. So if I pulled you off, and then I got rid of all of that fuel, and I put you down here. So now we just need to add all that liquid fuel back, which is 1,440 times 3, which is 3,000. I know that one off the top of my head. And then you got 1,200, and then 4,200, 4,320 or something. 4,300-ish fuel that would want to go back on there. We could do that. What do you got in you? 360. You know, we could, there's a way that we could do that, and that way that we could do that is 360 would not get you to, that's a lot of fuel that you gotta add back. So the way that we could get to there, you're only 450. What have I got that's carries a reasonable amount of liquid fuel? Sort by mass, you damn game. How many times have I got to tell you? Sort by mass. And so if that's 360, then we gotta get up to 4,000 and some. And it's too many of those. This weird tank is 540. I don't understand what these are. Really? But, you know, you do like that, except for you know, throw them off as you go, would be the premise. So, you definitely, you don't do that there. You got 1,975 meters per second of delta V, and then I take you guys off and it goes away. So that is stealing the liquid fuel from there. These, I've never used them before, but they apparently, like, have their own solid fuel to eject themselves backwards and away or something like that. That's neat. There may have been an issue, but it wasn't that bad. This shuttle can exceed expectations if you expect an abort. Another day, another try, right? You need about 350. 350? So get rid of these because you're in my way, and then if there were 8 here, we get back up to 2,265 meters per second of delta V. Okay. And we can make that a lot better. In fact, that probably means that we could get away with 6 of them if we asparagus staged them, is my thought. So, tell me if this is ridiculous and stupid and I should stop before I hurt myself more than I already have. I think you're going to need to stand off more with the larger decouplers. So, 2 of these, and then you're on there. Yeah, we can work this. It's a very odd thing that I'm doing right now, and I've never used these parts before. But so we got 2 of those, and then give me 2 more, and then with snapping, I believe you'd go more or less there, and 2 more, and I believe you'd go there. And then just to make sure that they're all in the same position, I'm going to grab each of them with absolute snapping, touch it, and that will put it to an absolute point that I can replicate on. Will you please, game, when I press the keys and click the thing, do the thing. And you need to come up by 1. Now they should all be perfectly symmetrical around those. And the way that I would go about this then is, it's been a while since I did asparagus staging, but let's say these are the first ones, then they would pipe into these, and then these would pipe into these, and then these would pipe into the main tank. So these guys, which are on those, that's that, would need to go first, and then these 2, which are apparently this, would go second. So what we're doing here is we're consuming the liquid fuel that's in here to burn the engines, and then we're throwing that fuel away. And then we're consuming the liquid fuel that's in here to burn the engines, and then we're throwing that fuel away. And then we're consuming, or throwing the canister away. And then this one, and then we're throwing that away. And I need to also stage this in, I guess. Again, never used these before. So, why... What? What? You did all of those on all of those sides, but then you decided that this one should be attached radially? Instead of... What the hell is wrong with you, game? There to there. And then that should be all the way around, and then it should work on both sides. What the hell is wrong with you, game? So you're the first ones to go. Which means that you should be in with that stage. And then the second ones to go are those. Are those, which are those. So you'd go with that. So this is right now, I'm just staging the solid fuel, like, basically separatrons that are built into these in order to peel them away from the ship. Apparently, like I say, never used them before, so that they'll fire as we're releasing those liquid fuel stages. So, we burn like that on the liquid fuel. So 354, 410, 486, then 824. So 1,200, 1,300 to 1,700 to 2,000 and some. Not as much as we really want it to be with just the 6 of them there. But since I can't be asked to make it any better, I'm just going to take that off and put a little bit more fuel in the line. So that's going to be you in the core. The core one, now we're up to almost 1,000 off of you guys, and then 450 plus 5 plus 400, 950 plus that, and so it's more like 2,300, 22 to 2,300, which is more viable, still not quite what we need, but enough to go on here. Yeah. So now having done that, I need these SRBs to somehow attach to all of this mess. This much shorter mess, but this mess. And it was 3 of these guys that needed to be there. You go away. And we want the fins to go back on at some point as well. I should think. Maybe I just put the fins on you guys. I mean, we'll be losing authority as we go up if they're on those. But there's just not room for them otherwise, so deal with it. Just accept it. You are not assigning those to the others. What is your problem? Kerbal Space Program. No. There you go. It just does it when it wants to. Thank you. Alright. That's a mess. Now where do I tuck 3 SRBs in on this mess? Oh, good God. I mean, it's not that crazy. It's pretty crazy is what it is. Oh, is it? Yeah. No, not radial. Or, not mirror, but radial. Now that's interesting. It's a bad idea, and it's just gonna burn everything off that's below it when you try and go. Well, okay, but counter argument. That is a persuasive counter argument, I think. I've always thought. I mean, kinda love it. Kinda love it. It's not gonna work, but I kinda love it. You. How far down can I go before we're really penetrating? Yeah, I'm sure that won't burn literally everything off at all. Why would it do that? We have struts that we had previously attached for reasons. We will reattach those struts for reasons, but not there, to there. Okay. And I think we should, just to eliminate one of the many causes for this going wrong, we should also strut them up at the bottom. What did you attach to under there, by the way? Directly to the engine. Cool. If I cared, then I would be caring, but I don't, so I'm not. So, there we are. Yeah. So, how is this going to rest on the pad, Mr. Ronan Pawn? Good question. If I pull you down, then that's not going to... No. So... You know what you could do, actually? What? I mean, I think you could do this. Yes, so what? Tell me. Well, you added this liquid fuel in, right? Yeah. So take it back out. Put it back. Okay. I'm not following, but keep going. Check your liquid fuel. It's all still good. You guys are in the same groupings together. Except for that. Hang on. Let me just try and sort some things out there. Yeah, and then get the stage, because otherwise as I do this, it's not going to make any sense to even me. I'm the only person that it could possibly make any sense to. You're at 1.49 TWR now with the three of you? That's not what we had before. And a 1485? That's not what we had before. Oh, well, that's because you're short on the liquid fuel still. Right. Because the idea was to solve all of your problems by giving all of you a little bit of fuel to rest on the pad. Huh? Okay, but does anything actually fit it that would stand tall enough? No. Oh, well, that's good then. How are we doing on that now? We're something 824 meters per second. Do it. If you're gonna do it, then commit to it. All right. No, there's a way for me to do this where I don't have to redesign everything. Right? And then yeah. Yeah, no, I see how that could work. You've got, it's too much fuel. It's too much fuel now. Because your TWR is wrong. Try going to the 400s. TWR of 1.27, which means we got a little bit more liquid fuel than we had before. Previous versions of this. Yeah. Sea level 1.25 TWR off the pad. Alright, no, that's fine. Is it though? It's totally fine. I mean, it's not getting anywhere anyway. Right? Don't pretend like you got a chance there, right? Yeah, there you go. Who wouldn't think that this would work? So let's just run through the staging, by which I mean what you can't see because there's so much of it under there. We fire the SRBs, and then when they're out, we drop all three of them as we kick up the 9 engines that it will take to give us 1.27 TWR at 12 kilometers. And we burn until our first stack of fuel is out, and then we drop that stack of fuel. We're up to a TWR of 1.51. Then we go to our second stack of fuel, our second asparagus stage here, and go up to a TWR of 1.86 as we drop that. And then a TWR of 2.43 as we're burning these guys, then we drop those, and we're in space, and then we drop everything, and we turn on our space engine. There you go. Shuttle Mark II. This one's totally gonna work. I don't see how it could not. So put that out on the. It's still Jeb. It's always Jeb. Jeb's the cockroach who sneaks on board every damn ship. So it's him. Okay. And you know, if we hit anything that seems like it might start flying or working, then that's where we can develop from. Asparagus stage slapped stuff together, and oh yeah, it's a little bit of spranginess there. So SAS on, throttle to full because we're just running the SRBs as we go up here. We've got aerodynamic control from those. I'm sure that the cone of flames from the solid rocket boosters will in no way completely burn off and explode all of the liquid fuel that's directly underneath them. I don't see any possibility of that happening. Do you, Houston?
No, of course not, because if I saw that, I'd be legally required to report it to a number of agencies if you were deciding to launch under those conditions. So no, I do not see that, for the record.
I trained you well.
In 3, 2, 1, fire!
Okay, so those are a little dangly. But that's fine. That's just fine, is how it is. Oh, F12, so we can see when things start going very, very wrong. Follow prograde, if you at all can. It is lasting longer than it did before, and then that happened. But it did last longer than it had. So, no, actually follow your prograde if you, okay. When you start falling back down, and you are, now follow your retrograde. No, yeah. That flew way better. We hit a new PB in terms of height. New PB. Sure. No, I think we can pull this one out. Yep. We're gonna save this guy. Almost got it. Nearly. And... Did that get stuck in midair? Is that stuck in midair? Can I, yeah, no, thank you. Can I, like, switch to, yeah, is there anything that I could just switch to another thing? So if I zoom out, and then I back up, alright, and then zoom back in. Okay, so I made a number of things happen. Oh God, that probably aren't supposed to. Kerbal Space Program, not least of which being we have negated physics. This is my 0-point energy device at work. Just snuck that in while you guys weren't paying attention in the VAB. Just a little experiment I wanted to run. Well, that was way more successful than the last attempt. I think we can say that. Revert flight to something, to the vehicle assembly. It was. There's no denying how much more successful that was. You can't deny that. Even if you wanted to, you're not allowed, because I said you're not allowed to. So from sea level, our TWR is 1.25 at this point. It's perfectly realistic. I think so. I think it's just we need to take off a little bit slower. Start with 1.10. And obviously the only other problem that I saw there, I think, I don't know why I'm even saying it out loud, because we're all surely on board with each other. It's just plain to see. Is that we need some struts in here. Is the only thing. Can I not get the radial attack? No, you can't. All right, because they're all. Right, they're all asparagus stage. So U to U, and then U to U, and then U to U. There we go. And now those won't wobble anymore. So we've gotten rid of the wobble. Now it should be fine. Also, we're coming... I'm kind of just curious to see how much height we can make if I tell it to just follow its prograde and keep it pointed straight up and don't interact with it at all, and we'll watch the aerodynamic forces. Because, I mean, it's going to have to do with that great big wing surface that we're trying to drive straight up, would be my guess. Because it's generating lift, which turns into a sudden, it's a lot of force going in a certain direction. The moment that it gets any angle... to it, then suddenly it's generating lift, which just topples us over. F12 on for the aerodynamic forces, and we're throttled to full. We're SAS on. Houston.
In 3, 2, 1, fire.
And hold program. Okay, prograde is going all the way down there. That's fine. Just gonna let it do its thing. Yeah, because it's trying to follow prograde and ends up getting pulled in this direction anyway. Let's try that, revert to launch, but this time I'll just turn SAS on and not tell it to try and follow its prograde, just hold straight up, just so that I can see. So again, F12 for the aerodynamic forces, SAS, throttle to full. Houston is what I would say, and then we do it, let's just hit the button. So straight up. Oh no, I won't be able to see the aero forces if we do it like that. Okay, we're still holding straight up. We started very slowly. Yeah, see some aero. Now we see some pulling that way. If it manages to resist it, it'll shift back in the other direction, and then we'll see it in the other direction. Yeah, and then it grabs there, and now it's going to jerk us right over. So, pretty clear how that's happening and why that's happening, and we've got a great big friggin' wing surface. That would need to be more sort of flown to space, maybe. Or, you know, occluded from being part of anything. Just like, I'm looking for one of these launches where we actually get through all of the solid fuel before we hit the ground and die. And we're almost doing it. Almost got through it. So back to vehicle assembly, and to consider this in a more, you know, a less idiotic way. A less idiotic way for pushing something like this to space. We want to be using that wing to our advantage instead of just, you know, having it be a great big wing that's just there. So, would we take this off from the runway and lift up and try and fly it like a space plane out? But we would still need like this amount of delta V behind the thing. We'd have to have 7,000 meters per second of delta V cumulatively on the thing. But maybe, you know, launch it at an angle, fly it at low speed, something like that in order to get it up. Because otherwise, if we're just driving it straight up, all it takes is one little wind to come along and get us rocking back and forth. And then as we angle more and more, the... Yeah, it would take quite a bit of consideration to actually push the entire shuttle to orbit, which, if you've never considered just how tricky that the space shuttle was for NASA to send, to figure out the aerodynamics and engineering that they would need to do, and balancing an asymmetric load, and, you know, like blocking its wings from having the body lift that they would have. Now you see. Just some of the forces as simulated somewhat unrealistically, where certain parts just freeze in midair. But now you see just how difficult that would be. I'm going to call that a huge success. Because I was tired an hour ago, and I'm still tired. And I'm happy with the shuttle. Shuttle flies. Can we figure out a way to push the shuttle to space after spending over $1 million Kerbucks engineering and designing the shuttle? That's something to find out tomorrow if I manage to come to the stream without without just being in pain and tired and stuff from the myalgic encephalomyelitis and whatnot. But yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow is my plan at 8 p.m., which is our usual time. We're here Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and we will pick this up where we're leaving off to see if we can't turn it into a, flyable, useful thing, or if it's all just a stupid idea that we spent $1 million on. Be par for the course for capitalism. I am the Ronin Paul, and thank you all for coming out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. Shall we look for someone to raid? I can't necessarily say that I feel like finding some, because I'm tired and I just want it to end, but we're gonna... You don't understand. Unless you know chronic pain, you don't understand. I think I woke up today at 2 or 3 a.m. It's now 6:45 p.m. But I needed to do this to try and, get my sleeping schedule to come around and be useful in some way. Now I have. EJSA is online, probably watching a launch. I'd rather hand it over to somebody who's actually playing the game. But I'm having trouble pulling up. Hang on. Yep. There we go. What else we got? Soviet Wombi is out. Nostril. I do not recognize any of these folks. Soviet Womble is 2,400 viewers. You know what? If y'all want to go watch some more Kerbal, you know how to search on Twitch.tv. You do it yourself. Thanks everybody for coming out. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Pawn out.